The seventh night was the first time Paige knocked, which was strange because for 6 nights straight she had left her bedroom door open like it was a question she refused to ask out loud. I was standing at my kitchen counter at 11:08 p.m., eating cereal from a mug because I was 25, single, and apparently committed to making every woman who ever loved me feel relieved she had moved on. Then I heard two soft taps on my bedroom door frame. Not the front door, not her door, mine. I turned around with a spoon in my mouth and found my new roommate standing in the hallway wearing my faded navy button-down shirt. Only my shirt. It hung halfway down her thighs, the sleeves rolled to her elbows, her dark hair loose over one shoulder. She looked nervous, bold, and far too beautiful for a Tuesday night in an apartment that smelled faintly of microwave popcorn and wood glue. I took the spoon out of my mouth. Paige Sullivan lifted one eyebrow. "Before you panic, I'm not here to seduce you." That's exactly what someone would say if they were here to seduce me. A smile tugged at her mouth, but it didn't last. Owen. My name sounded different when she said it like that. Less like a label, more like a hand on my chest. "I need to ask you something," she said. And just like that, every open door from the past 6 nights rearranged itself in my memory. My name is Owen Mercer. I'm 25 and I restore old furniture for a living in a rented garage behind a hardware store in Portland, Maine. Tables with water rings, chairs with broken spindles, dressers people give up on too soon. I like damaged things, I guess people are harder. Before Paige moved in, my life was quiet in the way a waiting room is quiet. Clean, functional, no one staying long enough to leave a dent. My last relationship ended 8 months earlier when my girlfriend told me I was safe, kind, and impossible to reach. That's a very polite way to say a man has the emotional availability of a locked filing cabinet. So when my landlord said his niece needed a room for a few months after taking a job at the children's clinic downtown, I said yes because the rent was stupid high and I had a talent for being polite with strangers. Paige arrived on a Wednesday afternoon in ripped jeans, a cream sweater, and boots scuffed at the toes. She carried 2 boxes at once and refused help until the third step, when one box split open and released half her life onto the stairwell. Books, socks, a ceramic rabbit. A framed photo of her with an older woman who had the same sharp smile. A red bra landed on my work boot. We both stared at it. Paige sighed. "Well, good to establish dominance early." I picked it up by one strap and handed it over like evidence. "I'm Owen. I'm moving out immediately." That was the first time she made me laugh. Not a polite laugh. A real one. The kind that surprised me enough to feel embarrassing. By the end of the first evening, she had unpacked exactly one lamp, 3 coffee mugs, and a small speaker that played old soul music while she assembled a bookshelf without reading the instructions. Her bedroom door stayed open. I noticed because my room was across the hall, and because I had trained myself not to notice things I wanted. That first night, I passed her door on my way to brush my teeth. She sat cross-legged on the floor in gray sweatpants, sorting paperbacks into piles. "You don't have to keep it open," I said, because I am apparently the mayor of awkward boundaries. She looked up. "Does it bother you?" "No." "Then I'm good." "Okay." "Owen?" "Yeah?" "If you ever become the kind of roommate who narrates his hallway movements, I'm raising your rent." "I don't own the building." "I'll find a way." The second night, her door was open again. She was on her bed in a lavender t-shirt, laptop balanced on her knees, whispering along with a medical training video. Pediatric intake procedures, I think. She had a pen between her teeth and a crease between her brows, and for 1 second I saw the difference between someone pretty and someone arresting. Pretty is easy. Arresting makes you forget what you were doing. I walked into the linen closet and stood there for a full 10 seconds holding no linen. The third night, she burned toast at 9:40 p.m. and waved a dish towel under the smoke detector while I opened windows. "I'm usually very competent," she said. "At toast? At everything except toast. That's a narrow weakness. It keeps me humble." We ate cereal at the counter after that, hers from a bowl, mine from a mug. She noticed. Of course she noticed. "Is that a bachelor cry for help?" she asked. "It's a space-saving strategy." You own 6 bowls. I don't like being predictable. She smiled into her spoon. No, you like being unreachable. There's a difference. I looked at her then. The joke had slipped, and something real had shown through. She didn't apologize for it. Paige didn't throw truth like a weapon. She set it down between you and waited to see if you were brave enough to pick it up. I wasn't. Not yet. The fourth night, she left her door open while painting her toenails a dark burgundy on the floor, one foot propped on a moving box labeled taxes/maybe candles. I stopped in the hallway because she had my phone charger in her hand. Borrowed, she said. Stolen. Borrowed with confidence. You could have asked. You were in the garage making a chair look emotionally available. I leaned against the wall before I could stop myself. That chair has been through a lot. So have you, I'm guessing. There it was again. That quick little blade of perception. I should have gone to my room. Instead, I said, You always leave your door open? Her brush paused over her toenail, then she shrugged. Not always. Sorry, none of my business. It's fine. She looked up at me. Closed doors make a place feel temporary. That answer stayed with me longer than it should have. The fifth night, I came home late from delivering a refinished oak table to a couple in Cape Elizabeth. Paige was in the kitchen wearing navy scrubs, hair pinned up badly, eating peanut butter from a spoon. Rough day? I asked. A 4-year-old told me my bangs were uneven. He sounds honest. He was ruthless. I reached up without thinking and touched a loose piece of hair near her temple. Not exactly touching her skin. Not exactly not. The apartment went quiet. Her eyes lifted to mine, and for one charged second, neither of us moved. Then I dropped my hand. Sorry, I said. Don't be, she answered softly. That was worse. The sixth night, her door was open, but she wasn't in the room. Her lamp glowed over a half-unpacked box. A paperback lay open face down on the bed. My blue button-down was draped over her chair. I stopped walking. That shirt had been in the laundry basket outside the bathroom that morning. Old, soft, missing one cuff button. I wore it when I sanded furniture because I didn't care what happened to it. I told myself she must have grabbed it by mistake. I told myself a lot of things. At 10:30, she came out of the bathroom in her robe, saw me in the hallway, and followed my gaze. Oh, she said. My shirt? Laundry mix-up. Your laundry mix-ups involve theft? Borrowed with confidence, she said, but her cheeks colored. I should have teased her more. I should have asked why she kept taking my charger, why she left her door open, why she watched me like she was waiting for me to stop being careful. Instead, I nodded like a decent roommate. Cap it, I said. It looks better on your chair. Her expression changed then. Not much, just enough. Like I had almost said what she wanted, but not quite. Now, on the seventh night, she stood in my doorway wearing that shirt, with her bare legs in the hallway light and her courage visibly shaking. I set the cereal mug down. Paige, I said, keeping my eyes on her face because I was a gentleman, not blind. Are you okay? No, she said. Yes. I don't know. I took one step toward her. What happened? She swallowed. Nothing happened. That's the problem. I stopped. She gave a small laugh, but it broke in the middle. I have left my door open for 6 nights, Owen. I noticed. I know you noticed. My pulse moved into my throat. She tugged once at the sleeve of my shirt like she had borrowed more courage than fabric. And every night you walked past like you were trying to win an award for honorable suffering. That sounds like an important award. It's not. The trophy is loneliness. That landed harder than I expected. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw that this wasn't a joke. Not entirely. Her mouth was brave. Her eyes were not. Why my shirt? I asked. Her smile barely appeared. Because if I wore something of mine, I could pretend this was casual. And this isn't? No. The air between us changed shape. Paige stepped into my room, close enough that I could smell my laundry soap on her and something warmer underneath it. Something that was just her. She looked around once at my unmade bed, the book stacked on the floor, the old dresser I'd restored but never bothered to fill properly. Then she looked back at me. I didn't come here to seduce you, she said again, quieter this time. I believed her, which somehow made it worse. Then why did you come? She took a breath, and for the first time since she had moved in, Paige Sullivan looked like she might turn around and run. But she didn't. She reached for my hand, carefully, giving me every chance to refuse. I didn't. Her fingers slid into mine. And then she said, "Because I'm tired of hoping you'll choose me by accident. Because I'm tired of hoping you'll choose me by accident." There are sentences that don't enter a room so much as rearrange the furniture. Paige's hand was in mine, warm, slightly trembling. Her thumb rested against the scar across my knuckle, the one I got from a walnut dresser, and a bad decision involving a dull chisel. I could have made a joke. I had one ready, probably. Something about accidents or furniture or the legal risk of seducing your roommate in stolen workwear. Instead, I said the most honest thing I had managed in months. I've been choosing you every night. Her eyes searched mine. Badly, I added. A breath left her, not quite relief, not quite a laugh. Yes, very badly. I know. Painfully badly. I'm getting that. Like if emotional constipation were an Olympic event, Paige. Her mouth curved, but her eyes shone. Sorry, vulnerability makes me insulting. I noticed. You like it. God help me, I did. I stepped closer, slow enough for her to stop me. She didn't. Her fingers tightened around mine, and the movement pulled her nearer until the hem of my shirt brushed my sweatpants. Every careful rule I had built since she moved in stood around us like nervous chaperones. She was my roommate, my landlord's niece, a woman who had trusted me enough to leave her door open, and I wanted her so badly my whole body felt like a struck match. I need to say this right, I said. That would be a refreshing change. I looked down at our hands, then back at her. I didn't walk past because I didn't want you. Her expression softened, but her chin stayed lifted. Paige had a way of being vulnerable without making herself small. It wrecked me. I walked past because I did, I said. Because every time I saw you reading or burning toast or stealing my charger like a tiny domestic criminal, I wanted to go in. I wanted to sit on your floor and talk until midnight. I wanted to kiss you against that ridiculous bookshelf you built crooked. It is not crooked. It leans like it has secrets. She bit her lip. I nearly lost my train of thought. I wanted to, I continued, but I didn't want you to feel cornered here. This is your home too. I didn't want to become the reason you had to close your door. For a moment, she didn't speak. Then she looked down at the shirt she was wearing and gave a small, shaky laugh. Owen, I wore your shirt and came to your bedroom. I think we're past subtle environmental cues. Fair. And for the record, she said, stepping even closer, I didn't leave my door open because I was helplessly waiting for a man to rescue me from loneliness. I didn't think that. I left it open because I liked you, because you made this apartment feel less temporary, because you look at broken things like they're worth the time. Her voice dropped. And because when you touched my hair the other night, I thought about it for an embarrassing number of hours. My chest tightened. I thought about it too. How many hours? Paige. I want numbers. All of them. That did it. Her smile unfolded slowly, and it was so beautiful, I forgot to be afraid. Then she lifted our joined hands and pressed my knuckles lightly to her mouth. Not quite a kiss meant to start something. A kiss meant to ask, my breath caught. Choose me on purpose, she whispered. So I did. I cupped her face with my free hand, and when she leaned into my palm like she'd been waiting there all along, I lowered my mouth to hers. The first kiss was careful. The second wasn't. Paige made a soft sound against my mouth and stepped into me, her hands sliding up my chest, fingers curling in the fabric of my t-shirt. I felt the heat of her through the thin cotton of my old button-down, felt the shape of her trust in the way she didn't hesitate. I backed up until my legs hit the side of the bed, but I didn't sit. I didn't pull her down. I broke the kiss because I had promised myself, somewhere deep and terrified, that if this ever happened, I would not rush the part where she still had every possible out. Her eyes opened slowly. If you apologize, she said, breathless, I'm moving out. I wasn't going to apologize. Good. I was going to ask if you want to go on a date. She blinked. Now? Yes. Owen, I'm not wearing pants. I noticed heroically little. Her laugh came out bright and startled. You want to take me on a pantsless date? No, I want to take you on a date where you wear whatever you want and I spend the entire evening trying not to look as stunned as I feel. She studied me. The humor in her face dimmed into something gentler. You're serious. I'm trying something new. Direct communication? It's ugly, but I'm told it works. Paige's thumb brushed the side of my neck. What would this date involve? Dinner. Somewhere with actual plates. Maybe a walk by the water if you don't hate wind. I live in Maine. Hating wind is a full-time job. Then dessert. Dessert before the walk. Negotiable. And no pretending it's roommate logistics. No. No saying we're just grabbing food. No. No panicking tomorrow and sanding a chair for 14 hours to avoid me. I paused. Her eyebrow lifted. I can keep it to 6, I said. She smiled, but then she swallowed, and I saw the fear return beneath it. What if it ruins this? She asked. The apartment, the ease, the cereal at midnight. I traced my thumb along her cheek. Then we go slow enough not to be careless. I don't want slow if slow means hiding. It doesn't. Or if slow means you kiss me once and then become a haunted Victorian widower. That was one time. With who? With myself, mostly. She laughed and I kissed her again because I could. Because she wanted me to. Because her smile was still on her mouth and I had been starving for it without admitting hunger. This kiss was shorter, sweeter. It ended with her forehead against mine. For a while we just stood there breathing the same air. Then her stomach growled. Loudly. Paige closed her eyes. No. I looked down between us. Was that a medical emergency? That was betrayal. You came to seduce me without eating dinner? I specifically said I didn't come to seduce you. You came to emotionally corner me in my own shirt without eating dinner? Yes, and I'd like privacy during this difficult time. I took her hand again and led her toward the kitchen. She followed, but at the doorway she hesitated. Owen? I turned. The hallway light caught her face, all softness and nerves and stubborn hope. Are we really doing this? She asked. I could hear all the questions inside that one. Will you still want me tomorrow? Will I regret being brave? Are you going to make me feel foolish for reaching first? I lifted our joined hands and kissed her fingers, the same place she had kissed mine. Yes, I said, on purpose. Her shoulders relaxed. In the kitchen, I made grilled cheese because it was the only thing I could cook reliably that didn't come from a box. Paige sat on the counter in my shirt, bare feet swinging against the cabinet, watching me like I was doing something far more impressive than buttering bread. You're very focused, she said. I'm trying not to burn dinner for the woman I just kissed. Was that a plural kiss or a singular kiss? Are you asking for official documentation? I work in a clinic. Records matter. I flipped the sandwich. Perfect golden brown. A personal triumph. Plural, I said. Definitely plural. She smiled down at her. Knees, that smile did something dangerous to me. Not the sharp teasing one. This was private, almost shy. I slid the grilled cheese onto a plate and cut it diagonally. Paige gasped. You do know how to love someone. I froze for half a second. She noticed. Of course she noticed. Her expression softened. Too soon. No. I set the plate beside her. Just unfamiliar. She picked up half the sandwich but didn't eat it yet. Being loved? I leaned back against the opposite counter. Being easy with it. The apartment went quiet around us, but not awkwardly. The kind of quiet her open door had been asking for all week. Paige took a bite, chewed, and pointed the sandwich at me. For the record, I'm not easy with it either. You seemed pretty brave 10 minutes ago. I was terrified. You didn't look it. I'm spectacular under pressure. That true? No, I once cried because a vending machine kept my pretzels. I laughed and she grinned, and somehow that felt as intimate as kissing her. Maybe more. After we ate, she slipped off the counter and stood in front of me with the empty plate between us. I should go to bed. she said. Yeah. Neither of us moved. Date tomorrow? She asked. Tomorrow. Good night, Owen. Good night, Paige. She walked backward toward the hallway, still wearing my shirt, still watching me. At her bedroom door, she paused. Then, slowly, deliberately, she left it open. Only this time she smiled before she disappeared inside. The morning after Paige came to my room in my shirt, I woke up with 3 immediate thoughts. 1. I had kissed my roommate. 2. My roommate had kissed me back like she had a personal grudge against my self-control. 3. I had promised her a date and all my good shirts had wood stain on them. I stood in front of my closet at 7:12 a.m., holding up a black sweater with one suspicious pale streak across the sleeve, when Paige appeared in my doorway. Not wearing my shirt this time, wearing scrubs, sneakers, and a smile that made the entire room feel awake. Morning, she said. I turned too fast and hit my elbow on the closet door. Her smile widened. Smooth. I was testing structural integrity. Of your elbow? Of the apartment. She leaned against the doorframe, arms folded. How'd it do? Needs work? For 1 second, we just looked at each other. Last night hung between us, not awkward exactly. More like a string of lights we had not yet figured out how to plug in. Then Paige walked into my room. It was a small thing, 2 steps, but my pulse treated it like a parade. She stopped in front of me, lifted onto her toes, and kissed the corner of my mouth. Soft, quick, certain. Just checking, she said. My hand found her waist before my brain caught up. Checking what? That you weren't going to act like a haunted Victorian widower. I considered it. I know. I had a whole window-staring plan. Rain? Fog, ideally. She laughed and I kissed her properly because apparently I was a man with no respect for schedules anymore. Paige melted into me for half a breath, then pressed a hand to my chest and stepped back. I have to go save children from uneven bangs and suspicious rashes. Dinner at 7? Yes, she pointed at me. And do not overthink this into a woodworking project. No promises. Owen, I'll try. She softened then, the teasing slipping aside. That's all I wanted. After she left, I did exactly 1 hour of very disciplined work at the garage before sanding the same drawer front for 20 minutes longer than necessary. At noon, my phone buzzed. Paige, if you are currently emotionally processing through furniture, drink water. Me. This drawer has a lot of feelings, Paige. Tell the drawer I believe in it. Me. It says thank you. Paige, are you nervous? I stared at the screen. Me. Yes. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Paige. Good. Me too. That did something to me. Her admitting it instead of hiding behind jokes. I typed before I could talk myself out of it. Me. I want tonight to matter. Paige. It already does. By 7, I had changed shirts 4 times and settled on a dark green button-down I hadn't ruined yet. Paige emerged from her room in a soft black dress, boots, and a denim jacket. Her hair was down. Her lips were a warm berry color. I forgot every word I knew. She stopped in the hallway and looked down at herself. Bad? No. Too much? No. Then why do you look like you just saw a ghost with excellent legs? Because I live with you, I said. And somehow I was unprepared for you. Her face changed, not into a laugh, into something quiet and pleased. Well, she said, smoothing the front of her dress, that was annoyingly good. I've been saving up direct communication. Dangerous. Use responsibly. We went to a little Italian place near the harbor, the kind with candles in cloudy glass jars and tables, too small for people pretending not to touch knees. We did not pretend well. Paige ordered pasta with lemon and capers. I ordered whatever the waiter recommended because I was too busy watching her tuck her hair behind one ear. Stop looking at me like that, she said. How am I looking at you? Like you're deciding where I belong in your apartment. I leaned back. Ah, that sounds concerning. It's not. I like it. She traced the rim of her water glass. You look at spaces like they can become homes. I swallowed. That's what you did, I said. What? Became home before I noticed. Her fingers stilled on the glass. The candle flickered between us. Owen, she said softly, and there was no joke attached to it this time. I reached across the little table, palm up. She looked at my hand, then placed hers in it. I don't say things easily, I admitted. I know. But I mean them. I know that too. Her thumb moved over my knuckles, the same scar as the night before. I'm not asking for perfect, she said. I'm asking for present. I can do present. Can you? I deserved the question, so I answered honestly. I can learn. Something in her relaxed, then she smiled. Good. Because I'm terrible at pretending not to want what I want. I noticed when you wore my shirt. I was making a nuanced point. You were pantsless. Nuance comes in many forms. I laughed and she grinned, and the date became easy after that. We talked about everything ordinary, her clinic, my garage, the time she accidentally locked herself out of her college apartment and tried to convince the fire department she was emotionally flammable. My first restoration job, a rocking chair for a widower who cried when he saw it finished. By dessert, Paige had stolen 2 bites of my tiramisu and declared it community property. You have your own dessert, I said. Yes, but yours tastes like victory. You're a menace. You invited me. I kissed you first. She tilted her head. Technically, I kissed your hand first. So this is your fault. Completely. Outside, the wind off the water was rude and immediate. Paige tucked her hands into her jacket sleeves. Still want that walk? I asked. I want to be the kind of woman who wants that walk. We can admire her from indoors. She laughed, but then stepped closer. Maybe just a short one. We walked along the harbor with our shoulders brushing until I finally stopped being an idiot and took her hand. She looked down at our linked fingers. There he is. I was creating anticipation. You were panicking. Also that. She squeezed my hand. A few minutes later, her phone rang. She glanced at the screen and her expression tightened before she silenced it. I caught the name before it vanished. Aunt Viv. Everything okay? I asked. Probably. Paige slid the phone into her pocket. She's my landlord uncle's wife. She worries professionally. About you? About everyone, but yes, mostly me lately. I waited. Paige stopped near the railing, staring out at the dark water. I didn't move in because of the clinic. The wind moved her hair across her cheek. I wanted to brush it back, but I held still. She looked at me. That was part of it, but I also needed somewhere to breathe. My mom died last year, and after that my family started treating me like glass. Every decision became a group project. Where I lived, where I worked, whether I was eating enough soup. Surrendering soup autonomy is serious. Her laugh was small, grateful. Exactly. I stepped closer. So, you chose the apartment. I chose an open door, she said. And then I found you across the hall pretending cereal mugs were normal. The ache in my chest was sharp and sweet. I touched her cheek then, brushing her hair away. I'm glad you found me. Her eyes shone in the harbor lights. Me too. The kiss started gentle. Cold wind, warm mouth, her hand gripping the front of my coat. I wrapped my arm around her waist and felt her lean in, not needing rescue, not asking to be sheltered from the world, choosing me as a place to rest. When we pulled apart, she stayed close. I should call my aunt back, she murmured. Do you want to? No. Then don't. She smiled against my collar. Bad influence. Present influence. That made her lift her head. Take me home? She asked. Home. Not the apartment. Home. Yeah, I said. I can do that. On the walk back to the car, Paige kept my hand in hers, and when we got home, she didn't go straight to her room. She followed me into the kitchen, kicked off her boots, and leaned against the counter like she belonged there. I made tea. She stole my sweatshirt. We sat on the couch with our knees touching, and she told me about her mother's terrible singing voice. And I told her about my father leaving when I was 9 and how I'd learned early not to ask people to stay. Paige listened like she was holding something fragile. Then she set her mug down, shifted closer, and rested her head on my shoulder. "I'm staying tonight," she said. My heart tripped. "At the apartment," she clarified, poking my ribs. "Don't combust." "I wasn't. You were smoking slightly." I kissed the top of her head. For the first time in a long time, wanting someone didn't feel like a threat. It felt like an answer. By Friday, Paige and I had become terrible liars, not to each other, to the apartment. We kept pretending nothing had changed while everything had. Her toothbrush had migrated into the cup beside mine. My green sweater was on the back of her desk chair. She started buying the cereal I liked, then denied it while standing directly beside the box. "You bought the cinnamon one," I said. "I bought cereal for the household. You hate cinnamon cereal." "I support its journey." "You like me." She glanced over her shoulder, hair piled messily on top of her head, wearing leggings and my sweatshirt. "Unfortunately." I stepped close behind her at the counter. "Tragic." "Deeply. I had plans." "What plans?" "To be mysterious, emotionally unavailable, maybe own one silk robe." "You still can." "No, Owen, you made me affectionate. Now I'm ruined." I put my hands on her waist and kissed the side of her neck. She stopped pouring coffee. "That was manipulative," she said softly. "And did it work?" I forgot my own name for a second, so yes. I smiled against her skin. This was the dangerous part, I realized. Not the wanting, not even the kissing. The ease. The way she leaned back into me while the coffee maker hissed. The way my hands fit at her waist like I'd been waiting years for instructions. The way I could picture Sunday mornings, laundry mixed together on purpose, her books taking over every shelf. I could picture too much. So naturally, I ruined it. Not all at once. I'm talented, but not efficient. It started that afternoon when I came home early and found Paige in the living room on the phone, pacing in socks. "I know," she said, voice tight. "I know you're trying to help, but I'm not moving back." I stopped by the door. Her eyes flicked to mine. She looked away. "No, Aunt Viv, I'm not being stubborn. I'm being 26. Pause. "Because I like it here." Another pause. Then Paige's face changed. "I'm not discussing Owen with you." My stomach dropped. I should have gone to the kitchen, made noise. Announced myself like a normal person instead of standing there with my coat half off and dread taking inventory of every insecurity I owned. Paige listened, jaw set. "That's unfair," she said. "You don't know him." Silence, then quieter. "No, he's not the reason I'm staying. He's one of them." My heart moved. Her eyes found mine again, and this time she didn't look away. "I have to go," she said. "I love you too, but stop calling Uncle Rob to ask if my door's open. That's weird." She hung up. For 1 second, neither of us spoke. Then I said, "Your aunt asks about your door?" Paige groaned and covered her face. "My family has boundary issues and excellent phone plans." "Is she worried because of me?" "She's worried because I'm not living under the collective surveillance of 6 relatives and a casserole rotation. But also because of me." Paige dropped her hands. "She knows I like you." My throat went dry. And? And she thinks I'm grieving and impulsive and confusing comfort with feelings. The room got too still. Paige stepped toward me. "Owen." I did the thing I hated most about myself. I retreated without moving. "Maybe she has a point," I said. Her expression closed halfway. "Don't do that." "I'm not doing anything." "You are. You're putting on that careful face." "I just don't want to be another temporary thing you reached for because everything hurt." She stared at me like I'd slapped the air between us. "You think that's what this is?" "No, I don't know. You're saying my feelings are suspect because I lost my mother. I'm saying I don't want to take advantage of you." Paige laughed once, sharp and hurt. "I came to your room, Owen. I asked you to choose me. I kissed you back, repeatedly, with enthusiasm and documented intent. That's not what I meant, but it's what you did." Her eyes shone, and that was worse than anger. "You turned my choice into something fragile so you could feel noble stepping away from it." I had no defense because she was right. She always set the truth down between us. This time, I didn't want to pick it up. I need a minute, I said. Her face went quiet. Take one, she said. Then she walked into her room and closed the door. The sound was soft. It still knocked the breath out of me. For 3 hours, the apartment became a museum of my cowardice. Closed door across the hall, 2 mugs in the sink, her boots beside mine. I tried to sand a chair leg and stopped after 5 minutes because even the furniture seemed disappointed. At 9:15, I stood outside her door with a plate of toast. Not grilled cheese. Toast. Slightly burnt. I knocked. No answer. I brought a peace offering, I said. Silence. It's toast, so technically also an apology for being bad at apologies. A muffled voice came through the door. Is it burnt? A little. Good. I don't trust perfect toast. The door opened. Paige stood there in pajama pants and a tank top, eyes tired, hair loose. She looked hurt and beautiful and like someone I had no right to make feel unwanted. I held up the plate. I panicked. Yes. I heard your aunt and felt like the universe was handing me a permission slip to run. Yes. I told myself I was protecting you. Her gaze didn't waver. But I was protecting me, I said. From needing you. From being picked and still believing I could be left. Something softened in her, but she didn't let me off easily. I'm not your father, she said. I know. I'm not your ex. I know. And I'm not a chair you can restore from a safe distance. A weak laugh broke out of me. I really hate how accurate that is. She took the plate, set it on her dresser, then faced me again. I can be grieving and still know what I want, she said. I can miss my mom and still want you. Those things don't cancel each other out. I know, I said, and this time I did. Her voice dropped. Do you want me, Owen? Not responsibly, not theoretically, not from across the hall. Me? The answer rose up so fast it hurt. Yes. Then come here. I stepped into her room. Not because her door was open, because she had asked and I was done making her reach alone. Paige took my hands and pulled me close until our foreheads touched. Say it better, she whispered. I want you, I said. I choose you. I'm scared, but I'm not leaving this just because being chosen feels unfamiliar. Her breath trembled. Better, she said. I kissed her, and she let me feel the forgiveness before she said it. Her hand slid around my neck. Mine settled at her back. The kiss was slow at first, then aching, then full of all the words I'd almost ruined by not saying. When we finally separated, she pressed her face into my chest. I closed the door, she murmured. I noticed. I hated it. Me too. She leaned back. Then don't make me do it again just to get your attention. I won't. Promise? I brushed my thumb under her eye. Promise. We sat on her floor eating burnt toast from the same plate, backs against her bed, knees touching. After a while, Paige said, My family's coming Sunday. I turned my head. All of them? Only 4, maybe 5 if my cousin smells conflict. That's a lot of relatives. They want to check on me. Which means assess my apartment, my pantry, and probably your moral fiber. My fiber is medium at best. She smiled, then grew serious. I don't need you to perform boyfriend in front of them. The word hit the room and stayed there. Boyfriend? Paige looked suddenly nervous. Unless that's too— No, I said. Her eyes lifted. No? She repeated. I took her hand. I don't want to perform it. Her fingers curled into mine. I want to be it, I said. The smile that spread across her face was slow, disbelieving, and bright enough to make every closed door in the world feel temporary. Good, she whispered. Because I was going to ask. I kissed her knuckles. Beat you to it. Barely. Still counts. She rested her head on my shoulder. For once, I didn't look for the nearest exit. I looked around her room, her crooked bookshelf, the lamp, the box labeled taxes/maybe candles, and thought, yes, here. Her phone buzzed on the floor. A text lit the screen. Aunt Viv, Sunday at noon. We need to talk about whether this living arrangement is healthy. Paige sighed. I kissed her temple before the worry could take root. Sunday at noon, then. You sure? No, I said. But I'm present. She smiled into my shoulder. That'll do. Sunday at noon, Paige opened the front door like a woman accepting a duel. Her Aunt Viv entered first, carrying a casserole dish and the expression of someone prepared to locate every hazard in a 20-foot radius. Behind her came Uncle Rob, my landlord, who looked apologetic before anyone said hello. Two cousins followed with flowers, grocery bags, and the kind of curious eyes that made me understand why Paige had once described her family as loving, loud, and constitutionally incapable of minding their business. Paige stood beside me in jeans and a cream sweater, shoulder brushing mine. I didn't reach for her hand. Not because I didn't want to, because I was waiting to see what she wanted. She glanced up at me, rolled her eyes affectionately, and took my hand herself. Aunt Viv saw it immediately. Her eyebrows rose. Paige lifted her chin. This is Owen. You already know that, but I'm introducing him again because now he's my boyfriend, and everyone's going to behave normally about it. One cousin whispered, Called it. Paige pointed at her. No. I squeezed Paige's hand. Nice to see you all. Aunt Viv looked me over. I stood still and let her. So, she said, you restore furniture. Yes, ma'am. And you live across the hall from my niece. Yes. And now you're dating her. Yes. She narrowed her eyes. That was fast. Paige's hand tightened around mine, but before she could speak, I did. It felt fast because I was slow, I said. The room went quiet. Paige turned her head toward me. I looked at Aunt Viv, but I kept my thumb moving over Paige's knuckles. She was clear before I was brave. She chose this before I knew how to trust it. I care about her. I respect her. And if you're worried she's making decisions because she's grieving, I understand why, but I'm not here because she's fragile. Paige's breath caught. I looked at her then. I'm here because she's Paige, I said, and she asked me to choose her on purpose. Her eyes went shiny. Aunt Viv's face softened, though she clearly hated allowing it. And have you? Yes, I said. Every day since. Paige pressed her lips together like she was trying not to cry and trying not to smile at the same time. Uncle Rob cleared his throat. Well, I like him. You like everyone, Aunt Viv said. I do not. I hated that plumber in 2018. He overcharged you $12, and I stand by it. The tension broke. Paige laughed first, leaning into my side, and suddenly the apartment filled with noise. Casserole dishes opened. Groceries were inspected. Someone complimented the crooked bookshelf, which made Paige look personally vindicated. Aunt Viv cornered me in the kitchen while I poured coffee. I'm protective, she said. I noticed. She lost her mother. We all did, but Paige? She glanced toward the living room, where Paige was arguing with a cousin about whether soup counted as a full personality. She tries to be fine, so no one worries. I know. Viv studied me. Don't make her smaller to keep her safe. The words landed cleanly because they were fair. I won't, I said. She wouldn't let me anyway. That got the smallest smile from her. Good. Later, after everyone left and the apartment looked like a family gathering had exploded across every surface, Paige shut the door and leaned back against it. Well, she said, you survived. I think your aunt measured my soul. She does that. Yours passed with minor notes. What notes? Needs more soup? I walked to her, slid my hands around her waist, and drew her close. I can improve. Her arms circled my neck. You were good today. I meant it. I know. She touched my jaw, her thumb soft near the corner of my mouth. That's why it mattered. I kissed her there in the entryway, between the coats and the abandoned grocery bags, with sunlight coming through the windows and her family's flowers on the table. It wasn't a first kiss. It was better. It was the kind of kiss that knew what it had survived. When I pulled back, Paige looked up at me and whispered, Stay. I smiled. I live here. You know what I mean. I did. So I kissed her forehead and said, I'm staying. By winter, we stopped pretending her open door was an accident. Some nights it was open because she wanted to talk while folding laundry. Some nights mine was open because she fell asleep on my bed, reading clinic notes with a pen still in her hand. Some nights both doors were open and we ended up in the hallway brushing teeth, bumping shoulders, laughing at nothing because domestic happiness is sometimes just two people being tired in the same light. We made rules. No disappearing into fear without saying so. No using I'm fine as a locked door. No stealing chargers without legal acknowledgement. Paige broke the charger rule weekly. By the following spring, she had officially moved from across the hall into my room, though she insisted this was an administrative adjustment because half her sweaters were already there. Her old room became a reading room, then a plant room, then somehow both. I built her shelves that did not lean. She accused them of lacking character, so I carved a tiny crooked rabbit into the underside of one, where only she would know to look. On the anniversary of the night she knocked, I came home to find my navy button-down folded on the bed. A note sat on top. Wear this. I found Paige in the kitchen wearing a dark green dress and a smile that still made me forget language. The table was set with grilled cheese, tomato soup, and 2 mugs full of cereal for dessert. You planned a date? I asked. I planned a historical reenactment. Of the night you stole my shirt? Borrowed with confidence. She stepped close and tugged the front of the button-down I was wearing. Besides, it was never really about the shirt. No? No. Her voice softened. It was about the door. I looked down at her, at the woman who had walked into my careful life and refused to let me confuse safety with distance. I'm glad you left it open, I said. Paige smiled. I'm glad you finally walked through. I kissed her in the kitchen, surrounded by soup steam, crooked memories, and the quiet proof of a life we had built on purpose. And later that night, when we turned off the lights, neither of us closed the bedroom door. What would you have done if your new roommate left her door open for 6 nights, then showed up on the 7th wearing only your shirt? Have you ever experienced something similar where someone was brave enough to reach for you first? Tell me your story in the comments. And for those who'd like to be a little closer to us, we've opened memberships where you'll get shorter exclusive stories every week with no ads. If you like this one, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.